Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, thank you so much for stopping by. Today I thought I would do a bookshelf tour. This is something that I have been thinking about for the last week or so. I know it's been a minute since I've posted a video, but this is something that I thought would be fun. It would kind of give you guys an idea of what books I like to read, and maybe if you want to suggest some books that are related to the books that I have right here on my bookshelf. I also wanted to kind of show you what sort of decorative items I have on my shelf, along with some new items, aka twinkle lights, which I'm really excited about. I hung twinkle lights throughout the room so that I could have a cozy little reading nook that's outside of my living room area. I have a chair in there that is my favorite reading chair. Maybe we'll introduce you guys someday. Right now I have a little cozy reading area that is also in my guest room / office space. So yeah, let's just go ahead and start on the bookshelf tour. Okay, so I've raised the camera a little bit so that we can see the top shelf. I have all fantasy here right on the top shelf. I have this beautiful Hobbit book that I got for Christmas one year. I haven't really opened it because it is so pretty. I just didn't want to ruin it at all. I have the original Lord of the Rings that I read back when I was 12 years old, right before Fellowship of the Ring came out, so this is a movie edition. If you know me, you know that I don't like movie editions of books. This, of course, was an exception. I think at that age I hadn't really decided that I don't like movie editions of books. So, but this is really special to me because it means a lot. Lord of the Rings really shaped my childhood, especially my middle to high school years. I also have this wonderful recorded edition of The Lord of the Rings. This is actually more of a teleplay rather than the full version, so it's abridged. And fun fact, Ian Holm, who played Bilbo in the movies, voices Frodo in this, which just blew my mind when I got it. And then I have some, I don't know if these are original, but they are very close to being original editions of Fellowship of the Ring, Return of the King, and The Hobbit. I don't have the Two Towers. These were gifts from my mother, who introduced the series to me, especially The Hobbit. She would read that to me when I was a kid. So I'm very excited that I have those editions. I also have the Silmarillion and Children of Hurin, I think that I'm pronouncing that correctly. Those are both my husband's, but I figured I would rope them into the Lord of the Rings that I have here. I don't ever intend on reading them just because they are so dense, but I like having them part of the collection. And then right here I have my Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn series. This is actually 3 books, but the last book is 2 parts, and they're actually the thickest out of all of them. These were something that I picked up when I was in middle school, and no, actually it was in high school. I loved the cover of The Dragonbone Chair, which is the first book, and I actually, dare I say it, I think that they're better than Lord of the Rings. They just had larger world building, I guess I should say. I don't know, there was just something that was a little bit different than Lord of the Rings. Maybe it wasn't so difficult to get into, even though if you knew me when I was in high school and in middle school, you'd know that I was obsessed with Lord of the Rings. So yeah, I think this series is really good, and I tell everybody who is a big fan of Lord of the Rings that they need to check out the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn series because it's amazing. Okay, heading down to my second shelf, I have a bunch of books here that are just kind of books that I really like, that I'm really proud to own. Not that I'm not proud of any of the books that I own, but these are ones that I really enjoyed, or some of them are ones that I haven't read yet that I am intending on reading. For instance, Room is on my list, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. And then Queen of the Big Time is a book that my mom read that she suggested that I would like. I have Sit Down and Shut Up, which is a book about Buddhism that I picked up when I was still in college, and fun fact, the guy who wrote it actually went to the same college as me. I think that's probably, it was just one of those local authors that I didn't see the sign when I was going to the bookstore, but I picked it up and I still haven't read it, still intending to though. Also, Turtles All the Way Down is on my TBR. I know that's a John Green book, and I love John Green, I love Hank Green, but I just haven't gotten around to reading that one yet. It kind of freaks me out because I have an anxiety disorder and mild OCD, and sometimes I can pick up what I call tics. That's not what they're called. So I'm a little nervous to read that one, so I just am waiting for the right moment. But yeah, and then we have our whole, this isn't all of the books from Life's Library, but there's most of them. And some of them I haven't actually gotten to yet. Mountains Beyond Mountains is one of those. I haven't read Parable of the Sower, and I'm past the first story of Stories of Your Life. Also on this shelf is my To Kill a Mockingbird edition that I have had since I was in middle school. It has my notes in there, which I love. Every time I reread that book, I'm excited to see the words that I didn't know when I was in middle school. So that's pretty cool. And then the little items that I have here, of course I have these little felted animals that my cousin made me for Christmas. She made one for me and one for my husband, but I've stolen his little penguin because they are just super adorable. And then I have Captain Marvel here, Captain Kirk, and then Bob Ross, who has painted the little painting for me. And then I have this little Nashville ornament, I guess is what you call this. But yeah, I really like this thing. I think it's super cute. Next shelf, we have more fantasy. We have The Book of Dust and The Secret Commonwealth. Both are by Philip Pullman. I don't have the His Dark Materials series. I have just ordered that book. That was another fundamental book of my childhood, and I am waiting to get that so that I can put it with my Secret Commonwealth and my Book of Dust. Those are continuations of Lyra's story and an additional storyline, of course. He needed to add more characters, so I was really excited when those came out, and I'm waiting with bated breath for the third book to come out. And then I have yet to pre-order the new book that's coming out in October. I've since forgotten that, but I will put it up somewhere in the corner. And then of course Harry Potter, which was a fundamental series of my childhood as well. I am missing the 5th book because I spent most of my high school and middle school in Canada, and the editions that they have up there are the British versions. I don't know what happened to my 5th book. That was the version that came out while I was up there, and I would like to get the 5th book as this part of this series, and then I'm missing the dust jacket. I don't know whatever happened to that of book 3, but still very important and very prominent. This is a little box that came with, I think, probably the 4th book when I got it, and I've just always had it. I don't intend on getting like a whole box for all 7 books. And moving on, we have the Wicked series. This is another series that my mom has recommended to me. Wicked, I read a long time ago before I saw the play. If you're a big fan of the play, the book is really different. It's different and not different. It's more political, which is really interesting. And then the other 3 I haven't yet read. My mom has read all of them and she said they're amazing, so they are also on my TBR. Most of the books that are on the shelf are probably on my TBR. And then I have my My Neighbor Totoro manga that I picked up in Disney World in the Japan section. I was really excited to find those because My Neighbor Totoro is my favorite movie. Hands down, favorite movie. So I was really excited to find them in book form. Next beside it is Howl's Moving Castle, which is a book that I think I'm gonna keep returning to. It is just so comfortable. It's just one of those books that you fall into and it's nice and big and fluffy and you're just like, yes, this book is amazing. So, and then Lords of the Sky, which is a book I picked up in high school post Lord of the Rings craze. I thought, I guess probably for some reason, that it was going to be like Lord of the Rings. It was not, but it's also really good. To my recollection, I was young when I read it, but I have since read some books that I read when I was in high school and I was like, yeah, these are still good. So I have a feeling that one's probably still pretty good too. And then my little friends that are here, I have Hermione, who's hanging out by her books. I have Uncle Iroh and the Cabbage Sales Guy, Cabbage Man? Cabbage Sales Guy? Whatever you call him. And then of course Appa, and he's got his little background that came with him. I need to get some more of the Last Airbender pops, but these are my favorites. And then I have this little fun thing that I think my mom got this in Germany. It's broken. It's supposed to spin around, but I think, yeah, it's supposed to spin like that. So I think it's really cute, so I keep it with my books. Okay, we're here on the floor so that we can get these last two shelves. We have my fourth shelf. This is my TBR section, like my upcoming TBR section. I have Axiom's End, which I have since put down since I originally said that I was going to read that one in August. It got a little bit too weird for me, and just with everything going on in the world, I think I just needed something that wasn't weird, so I picked up a different book, Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. This is a library book, but it's still hanging out on my bookshelf for now because I want to do, of course, my wrap-up at the end of the month. So that's gonna sit there for a little while. I finished it in like a day, so if that tells you anything. And then we have Space Struck, which I'm still intending on reading. Blonde Roots, I'm about halfway through that one. And then Lab Girl I just finished. American Gods is here. I picked this up maybe a few months ago, and I'm still intending on reading it. I just don't think I'm gonna make it in August. This will probably be a September read. And then my Kindle is hanging out here too. That has a couple of books that I am finishing up this month as well. I have my little tabbies that I just put on my bookshelf so that I can remember. I use these to mark library books with quotes or moments or something like that that I'm really interested in. I got this idea from Noel Gallagher, and I think in my own personal books I'm going to physically highlight quotes that I like, but of course in library books I don't want to do that, so I picked these things up and they're easily removable. And then I have a little journal that I'm keeping that I'm gonna write down my most memorable quotes in, so these are gonna come in handy, I think. And then I have those divided out with the rest of the books that I have here. I have a Rumi poetry book, 365 Days with the Dalai Lama. If you haven't guessed yet, I'm really into Buddhism. And then this book my dad got me, I have to show you guys. He got me for Christmas because I like to buy things. So it's called A Bunch of Pretty Things I Did Not Buy. It's mostly art, but I think it's really cute. And it's a book that I have to pick up every once in a while to remember that I don't need to buy everything. So I love the art in this. I think it's really simple and adorable, and yeah, it's definitely a nice book to have. It also takes like 2 seconds to read, so that's nice. And then I have this Neil deGrasse Tyson book that I haven't finished yet, but I'm intending on it. It's Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. It's funny and kind of ironic that I haven't finished it yet, but there we go. The Things They Carried, that's another book that I need to reread. I read this one in high school. It was my first ever book that I read that had descriptions of Vietnam, the Vietnam War. So I remember really liking it, and I think I'm just gonna have to reread it because I think it'll probably sit different with me now than it did when I was, probably 16 or 17. Then I have a few in here that my mom has given me. The Peddler's Grandson, growing up Jewish in Mississippi. Her father was Jewish, so this is kind of something that'll be interesting to me, I think, and kind of introduce his world, which I don't know very much about because he died when my mom was young. So that's something that I'm definitely going to read. Winnie the Pooh's here for some reason. I think this is my original copy from when I was little. I have the Joy Luck Club, Little Women, which I finished for the first time right before the movie came out, the new movie by Greta Gerwig. I loved it. I didn't think I was gonna love it as much as I did, but I loved it. And then I have just a few more things here. The Reading Promise is something that I bought my dad, and he has since given it back to me to read. It was about a father and daughter who the father read to his daughter growing up and even through college. I heard an interview with her on NPR, and I thought, oh, that would be a good book for my dad. I haven't read it yet, but it's on my list. And then of course Gone with the Wind and The Wind Done Gone. Finished Gone with the Wind a while ago, haven't read Wind Done Gone yet. And then Widow of the South. These are These are my Southern books, if you haven't caught a theme yet. And then Ghost at a Watchman, and then there's this random hiking book for Land Between the Lakes, which is where I was born and where I grew up and still go every once in a while. So that's that. I have this guy is my favorite fossil. Second favorite fossil, actually. My first favorite is Hallucinogenia, which is a very strange fossil. I don't remember why I like it. I think just because there was a mystery with it. But this guy is a Dunkleosteus. He is like a giant precursor to sharks, and his teeth were not made out of bone. So his teeth were made out of cartilage, which their whole body was made out of cartilage as well. And I think the reason why I really like them is because their teeth are like connected to their whole rest of their skeleton, which I thought was really cool. They're also really huge, and they are found mostly preserved, or not preserved, mostly fossilized in Northeast Ohio, which is where I went to school. So that's kind of why I like this guy. And then I have this fun little mirror on the wall. I am my mother after all, phrase that my mom got me for Christmas one year. And just on this bottom shelf, I have some yearbooks, and then this scrapbook type picture book photo album that my grandmother made me before she passed. So this means a lot to me. It has a ton of photos of me when I was a kid. There's some blackmail material in there, I'm sure. So I like going through this when I am feeling like I'm missing my family. And then I have this giant edition of Shakespeare. I took a Shakespeare class in college, and this was the textbook, and I still reference it and I still look at it every once in a while. I love this book. I also use it for a tripod sometimes because it's so big. And then some yoga blocks because I also do yoga. So there you guys have it. That's a tour of my bookshelf. If you have any books that you would recommend based on what I already own, or any other thoughts, suggestions, please leave them in the comments below. And just one last thing, I wanted to thank you all for stopping by and for viewing, liking, subscribing. Anything that you interact with here helps me a lot. I would love to hear suggestions from all of you for future videos. I liked doing the book tour. I will probably keep reorganizing my bookshelf, so we'll probably have more tours in the future. But yeah, any other ideas that you guys can think of, I'd love to hear them. So again, thank you for stopping by, and I look forward to seeing you guys next time.